Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving deep into the toxic Solanaceae family. You know, it's one of those groups that can be a real headache to sort out. Our goal here is to build a clear, practical map for telling the difference between three of its biggest remedies, Belladona, Stramonium, and Hyoscyamus. By the end, you'll have a solid framework to use in your practice with total confidence.
So let's get right to it. Here's the big question, right? How many times have you been working on a case, maybe something with intense delirium or convulsions, and boom, these three remedies pop up right at the top of your list? They share so much common ground, it can be tricky. But here's the thing, each one has a totally unique signature, and that's exactly what we're gonna crack open today.
Okay, so here's the trick. To really get what makes them different, we first have to understand what makes them the same. All three of these remedies are thrown into the shared world of profound neurological terror. And I'm not talking about everyday anxiety here. This is a subjective, all-consuming nightmare state. Our first job is to map this terrifying world they all inhabit. All right, so let's explore this foundational signature. Really understanding their shared world of terror is the absolute key to seeing what makes each one of them so unique.
You know, this terror is incredibly specific. It's actually driven by these powerful alkaloids like atropine and scopolamine that cause a really deep disturbance in the central nervous system. So this isn't just a feeling of being scared. It's a fundamental alteration of perception itself. It's like they're living inside a horror film. And the themes are so primal, so archetypal. Dogs, dark water, ghosts, monsters. Plus, there's this raw, instinctual energy that comes surging up. Intense sexuality, deep suspicion, and this constant gnawing fear of betrayal that runs through all three.
So if they all live in this same terrifying world, how on earth do we tell them apart? Well, here's the absolute game changer. It's not the terror itself that defines them. No, it's their reaction to it. Each remedy has a completely different survival strategy.
And that gives us our core framework. It's beautiful in its simplicity. Belladona's reaction is to fight violently. Stramonium's reaction is a desperate flight to find safety. And Hyoscyamus? Its reaction is to cling fearfully to a protector. Fight, flight, or cling. That's it. This is the map we're going to use to navigate each remedy.
Okay, first up, Belladona. This is the active, explosive fight response to that overwhelming terror we talked about.
I mean, this metaphor just captures the Belladona state perfectly, doesn't it? I want you to really picture this. It's not some calculated, strategic fight. It's a wild, desperate, out-of-control struggle for sheer survival against a force that's just too powerful. You scream, you kick, you bite, you do absolutely anything to try and break free. This immense internal pressure is what drives the entire clinical picture. And this internal struggle? Well, it has to go somewhere, right? It manifests physically in these incredibly explosive ways. You see sudden, raging high fevers, throbbing, pulsating pains, and this intense, bright red inflammation, like the classic as-if-waxed look you see on the throat. The senses are just completely overloaded. They can't bear light, noise, touch, or even the slightest jarring movement. And, you know, the core state is captured perfectly by that key rubric, unconsciousness alternating with a scream. It's just a complete system overload. Now, let's switch gears completely and look at Stramonium. This is a very, very different picture. If Belladonna fights, Stramonium feels like it's lost all capacity to fight. Its reaction is a desperate flight for safety. This metaphor of being lost in a dark forest is just perfect. It gets right to the heart of the feeling. Stramonium feels completely powerless, abandoned in the face of these unseen terrors. It's surrounded by threats it can't see or identify. So the only instinct left is to find cover, find company, find a light, anything to escape the terrifying darkness. And this right here is absolutely central to the Stramonium state, this overwhelming desire for light. Now, this isn't just a simple fear of the dark. It can be a need for literal light in the room, sure, but it can also be an intellectual need for clarity. You know, what's happening to me? Or even a deep spiritual need for divine comfort and protection. Light in every sense of the word. So how does this play out clinically? Well, it translates into this profound terror, especially at night. Stramonium is one of our absolute greatest remedies for night terrors. They cling desperately, sometimes so scared they don't even recognize their own family. A really key symptom you might see is convulsions that start the very moment the lights are turned off. And that search for light we talked about often becomes this turn towards religious affections, praying, reading scripture, seeking that divine light when they feel completely abandoned and helpless. And that brings us to our third and final path, Hyoscyamus. Its reaction isn't a sudden explosion like Belladona or a panicked flight like Stramonium. It's more of a calculated, fearful cling that's born from a very different kind of terror.
The terror of hyoscyamus is one of anticipation. See, it's not the shock of a sudden attack. It's the constant, gnawing fear of being abandoned by the one person they depend on for safety. They see the potential for that loss on the horizon, and this anticipatory dread shapes every single thing they do.
So what do you do when you're terrified of being abandoned? You do anything to keep that person's attention. This fear manifests as intense jealousy and suspicion. Every little thing is scrutinized for signs of betrayal. And to prevent that loss, they might resort to really shocking behavior, shamelessness, exhibitionism, even obscene actions. It's all a desperate attempt to hold on to their protector. You might also see things like infantile clowning or making silly faces, just trying to get that attention and affection to make sure they won't be left behind. And as a fascinating side note, it's a first-line remedy in the Banerjee protocol for ADHD, which is a really interesting application.
Okay, so to make this differentiation absolutely crystal clear, let's just see them side by side. This is where it all clicks into place. We're going to bring all three of those reactions onto a single map. And here it is, the whole story at a glance. Think of this as your cheat sheet. You've got Belladona's violent fight with that gallows metaphor, its sudden fevers and extreme sensitivity. Then you have Stramonium's desperate flight, lost in the dark forest, with its terror of darkness and desperate need for light. And finally, Hyoscyamus's fearful cling to avoid being abandoned, with all that intense jealousy and attention-seeking behavior. It really lays out the core difference, doesn't it?
So there you have it. We've mapped the shared world of terror, and we've charted the three distinct reactions to it. The next time these remedies come up in your analysis, the question isn't just about the symptoms themselves, but about the story behind them. Is it a fight, a flight, or a cling? Now, which terror will you recognize?